Welcome to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX Podcast Network, where the conversation never ends. I'd like to share with you a few things. Of course, education is in my DNA. And as an educator for several years, I realized that we as parents, even teachers, administrators, counselors, and whomever, sometimes don't focus on what our children do well. And as we are entering the final weeks of school, well, at the college level, many are finishing or have finished. However, at the grade school, middle school, and high school level, we have our final weeks coming with exams and so on. And soon in this Rochester, New York area, they will be receiving those report cards or everything's online now, transcript. So I'd like to share a couple of things about what we as parents, mom and dad, should focus on when it comes to giving our children feedback. So let's talk about how to focus on what they do well. I use as an analogy when I first learned how to sew, I literally wanted to make my own dress. I was probably 13, 14 years old for Easter, for church service. And I started on Friday, sewed on Saturday, had to rip out seams, and I was frustrated. Mom came in to help me a couple of times. And literally Sunday morning, I was up early to finish the last touches, and something went wrong. And my mom said to me, "Oh, you've done so well up to this point, keep going." I'm like, "But mom, we're going to be late for church." She said, "Don't worry about that." Do you know how much peace that gave me? And how she just supported me and literally gave me feedback that helped to boost my confidence. So recently, as I've told you, I'm a researcher. One article I read in Psychology, a professional journal, there was a study that was done and it talked about strength based parenting. So I read on and I kept reading and I said, "Oh, okay. Focus on what is being done well, not the struggles, not the mistakes, not focusing on the challenges of maybe your child quitting or being very depressed about a situation, but focusing, as my mom did, on what I was doing well." So we want our children to achieve confidence, and we want to be sure that we give them the right feedback. We want them to have energy that feeds their self worth, okay? We want them to lower any anxiety they may be experiencing because they are. Let me tell you, making that dress, I had anxiety. And when I wore it, and we were late, not too late, but we were late for church, and the compliments I got just really fed my spirit. I didn't get a big head, but it fed my spirit. So, why is it important for confidence to happen? It's not just about each and every situation, but let's say you may be speaking to your child about what happened in their performance on a basketball team or on the track team, but you may be anxious about certain things you saw, but you want to hear from your child. You want them to be able to share what they see as a challenge. You want them to invest in whatever may be causing stress or anxiety, and you want them to call it out. So I may want to say, oh, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right. But I have to pull back and give feedback and say, however, did you realize you did a great job with that shot put? Maybe things didn't go well with the pole vault, but the shot put went well. And you're going to grow with the pole vault. So we can give feedback that feeds, the word feed, feeds their self worth and reduces their anxiety. Those are the two things I need to stress. We don't want the B plus in science to be something that they see as the worst of the worst because I wanted an A. But we want to give the feedback that says, do you realize getting a B plus in biology is a major accomplishment? You've grown. Remember a few years ago you were struggling with biology or any type of science? So, fortunately, that confidence will help them as they go on in life. That self worth will help them as they progress. So, success happens. It's something that may not come as soon as our children or even we as parents want it to come. But I go back to an experience with the volleyball team for one of my daughters. They lost every game. They did not win a game. However, they scored more points as they went along. And that, to me, was success in a sense. When my daughter wanted to quit halfway through, I'm like, no, we don't quit. You're going to stay with the team. You folks need to pull together. And those were the words she said to her teammates and to her coach. They were worth playing for that high school girls volleyball team. Other people may not recognize the success, the worth, or even the level of work that was done in practice. But we do want to celebrate and encourage and definitely feed upon their confidence, their self worth. People are always going to talk about our shortcomings. That dress was too short. Oh, he should not have purchased that car. Yeah, I mean, we can go on and on about criticizing people. However, when people feel good about themselves, when we feel good about ourselves, when we have a confidence in ourselves, we're able to achieve more. We aspire to achieve more. So think about it. We're adults. Think about our children. As success comes, you tied your shoelaces by yourself. Oh, you were able to find matching socks in the laundry. That's a long story for another time. Anyway, life gets better and it will improve. And we have to watch our words. We have to help them to know that we see them doing well. We can always talk about when they're not doing well. No, you didn't clean your room. No, you didn't take the laundry out of the dryer. You didn't take care of the dog and walk the dog as you should have. We can go on and on about that. But people have feelings. Our children have feelings. And we want to feed them with positive feedback. Now, yes, you have to discipline. You do have to address the challenges. But for every challenge, try to have two positive things that will go along with whatever the challenge or the problem was. Try it. Yeah, try it and see what happens. Growth mindset is a concept I've talked about in the past, and we sometimes have to grow and do things differently. So I ask you to consider that feedback you give and understand that if we focus on what has been done well, the skill that he or she has accomplished, the growth that has happened, that confidence will also grow. They will embrace new things without too much fear. Of course, fear comes with everybody for anything new, but we want to ensure that the confidence level says, I'm able to do this because I did that. Yeah, think about it. And when you give that feedback, have a smile. A smile goes a long way. It's a nonverbal, and people will embrace that smile, and you can build upon that smile. You can even give a hug, which sometimes is a challenge for some people. So we celebrate their effort, we celebrate their determination, we celebrate their persistence in doing to develop that skill, to take care of that task. And we give feedback so that they will have that level of confidence and level of self worth. The next time someone does something in your presence, whether it's your child and another adult, a stranger even, and they're not doing as well as maybe they should, how about encouraging them? Give them a smile, give them a thumbs up, give them an embrace. And that can be on your professional side of life or your personal side of life. Take a step back and think about, I could criticize them, but I also can tell them what they did well. And that's what we want. We want to share positive feedback to let our children know and others what they have done well. You have been listening to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX Podcast Network, where the conversation never ends. Question: the next time you see someone who's not quite doing something to the level that they think they should do, not what you think, but let's say they feel defeated, what will you do to let them know what they did do that was positive and good?